to every witness, but then, of course, coming out of the testimony of the evidence given of several, you may have some other questions which you want to raise. I propose we don't go beyond 5:15 for today, if that is fine with you. Kilbringer. Aye. All right, thank you for coming, Ms. Ford, and being patient enough to wait until this hour. We usually conclude these sessions around 5. Today we will go to 5:15 with your consent, of course. We will not go beyond that today, so that we will have at least a half an hour to afford you the opportunity to share with the committee with respect to the matters indicated in the correspondence. The committee is properly convened under the legislation and has the authority to take evidence from you in a public forum. So this is being carried via technology to ears and eyes on the outside. We would have to make you aware of that. Also, I'll remind you of the fact that it is anticipated that the evidence you will give will be as accurate as possible as far as you know. And
I didn't quite hear that last part.
we will have to advise you that the evidence that you will give, it is anticipated, would be as accurate as you can make it, so that we avoid the peril of any misunderstanding. You have to take an oath that is required, or you can affirm if you would.
Sure. I can.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and give the
I
guidance.
understand. I do solemnly and sincerely affirm and declare that the evidence I shall give before the committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You just state for the record your name and your position with the Transport Board at the time, which is covered by the special report of the Auditor General, which was 2015 to 2018. Beginning 2015, mid-2018, what was your position at Transport Board
General Manager.
then? And your name for the record? And,
Sandra Ford.
and Mr. Pierce is with you as your counsel.
Yes, he is.
All right. Thank you very much. You have the document with you that we sent you relative to the broad areas that the committee is concerned looking into?
I received it.
You have that with you?
My attorney has it.
All right. Okay. Well, members of the board, on my left, Minister Husbands and Senator Nurse. On my right, Dr. Brown, and absent for the moment is Minister Walcott. We have also the staff from the Office of the Auditor General, led by Mr. Trotman, the Auditor General himself. All right, comfortable?
Yes, I am. Who is Mr. Trotman? Okay.
You have a special interest in knowing who's Mr. Trotman?
I have spoken to him once. I don't know if you recall.
Okay. Okay. All right. We will open to questions from members. Dr. Brown, Mr. Husband, Senator Nurse. Anybody wants to go first? Mr. Trotman, anything you want to raise with Ms.
Thank you, Chair. Just a few questions, really, first.
And you need to raise the volume.
Just a few questions for Ms. Ford. Ford, in terms of the special report, we did receive a response from the Transport Board. And one area that was of interest had to do with the fact that the board had indicated that they had made substantial savings vis-a-vis the whole issue of insurance. As a matter of fact, they indicated that they would have saved approximately $1 million from renegotiating the insurance fleet of the board. I'm not too sure if that happened under your watch or if it happened in the subsequent year. You aware of that?
It didn't happen under my watch, no.
Right. So could you tell us, because I'm kind of interested in terms of how such large savings could have been made. So basically, how did the board go about insuring its fleet? Was it a tender process? Was it, how?
I don't quite, I said it did not happen under my watch.
Right, I understand.
Right,
So I'm talking
okay.
prior to that, how did the board go about having someone insure the fleet?
Oh, it was tendered,
It was tendered?
yes.
Okay. So it was the same firm all the
And
time?
we went through a customs broker.
Okay,
Customs broker, that company did the work for us,
okay. So it's through a tender process?
yes.
And you would have set up a committee, and whatever the committee recommended would have been accepted by the board?
Whatever the committee recommended, yes, would have been accepted by the board.
Okay. Just a couple of questions. Has to do more so with the operations of the transport board over time. You had mentioned the fact that the transport board was not able to have a rolling fleet of any substantial numbers. I think in my report, you had indicated that the main reason was the lack of funds.
Yes,
Right. And this was funds to buy parts.
yes.
So tell me something, in terms of the large amount of money that you had to spend on these relatively old buses, was the thought ever, did the board ever make a recommendation that perhaps this model wasn't working, repairing these old buses?
If the board ever,
Thought that the model of just trying to repair old buses wasn't going to work?
I just want to clarify something with you. When you say the board, we usually refer to the board as the board of management, and then you have the board of directors. You have the board as a management team,
Okay.
and then you have the board of directors. So which board are you referring to, the management or the?
Well, the management
directors.
obviously would make recommendations to the
Right,
board.
okay.
So did the management make recommendations to the board, well, look, repairing these old buses just is not cutting it, and we need to have a different model altogether?
Yes, we did.
And what was the outcome?
The outcome is that it was sent to our recommendations were sent through the board to the Ministry of Transport and Works, and we would have had to wait on them for them to say whether or not we can purchase or couldn't purchase.
And so what was the outcome? No,
The outcome was limbo,
Mr. Limbo.
neither no nor yes.
They had the whole issue of obtaining spare parts. And the chair, your former chair, who had just given evidence, had indicated that part of the problems that the board would have faced was that it didn't have funds. So because it didn't have funds, it had to kind of rely on the local service provider, the local provider.
Yes,
You
because
would've- Go ahead.
there was a particular service provider who had given us a line of credit, if you want to put it like that.
Right.
And that's the service provider who we can get parts from without having to, utilizing the line of credit.
Okay, so that was one of the main reasons why you would have chosen that particular service provider?
That service provider was the entity that was responsible for bringing in the majority of our buses, as far as I'm aware.
Oh, this is Simpson Motors. You could say it is Simpson Motors,
That's correct.
Right. But we were talking more about the transmissions.
Yeah, what
And-
about them?
Right. The fact that you could buy parts a lot cheaper overseas than you could source them locally.
As it relates to transmissions and purchasing parts locally or externally at a cheaper price, that's not my area because I am not too sure about that. What I can do, the actual transmission we got at we call them recon transmissions. We got them at a cheaper price, which was US $2,250. And those were the transmissions that we were using after.
Right. So the question was, why didn't you use them more? Why didn't you import more of the transmissions since they could be had at such a lower price?
While I was there, we would have had about, I would say, between 30 to 40, because we ordered them in tranches of 10. And for you to ask me why we didn't order more, we didn't have any money.
So tell me something. The chairman had also indicated that from time to time he would use his own personal credit card to purchase things for the transport board. You would agree to that?
From time to time, during the period is July, during 2016, that's when he would have used his credit card to purchase important parts for the transport board.
And the main reason why that was done?
Firstly, the main entity, the service provider, they had ceased all credit to the transport board. Can I refer to a document, sir?
Surely.
Sure. December the 31st, 2015, the Transport Board's main local service provider closed the Transport Board credit account, which had an outstanding balance in the 8-figure range. On January the 1st, 2016, the said main local service provider opened an account for the Transport Board to cover labor costs only, with a 7-figure credit limit and specific credit arrangements. It was further stated that with immediate effect, all purchases for parts had to be cash on delivery. On February 25th, 2016, at a board meeting held on February the 25th, the board approved the special project at Mangrove, and the project commenced in March 2016 with little or no tools in the Quality Assurance Department. On July the 15th, 2016, the general manager prepared a board paper entitled Acquisition of Tools and Equipment by the Chairman for the Special Project at Mangrove. I have a copy of it. And it was presented to the board meeting of July the 26th, 2016. The board paper was rejected by the board of directors, who stated no board paper should be done, and because the chairman has spent his money and he must be repaid. On September the 5th, 2016, a presentation on access to bus parts and bus availability was done by the general manager, the financial controller, and the then fleet management consultant to the then prime minister and the then minister of finance at government headquarters. I also have a copy of that presentation. And on September the 13th, 2016, the financial controller prepared a request for funds of approximately $1 million from the Ministry of Finance to assist with the purchase of parts. And on the 21st of September 2016, approval of approximately $982,000 to assist with the purchase of parts, etc., was received via a memo from the Ministry of Finance, reference 5058-00B. Volume T12, Volume 3, dated September 21st, 2016. So I gave you that outline up to July 2016 to indicate to you that the board had no funds, and that is what would have encouraged, I don't know if that's the correct word, the chairman at that time to use his credit card, because we needed the parts urgently to assist with the rollout of the buses.
So tell me something. If the chairman would have been using his own personal credit card to purchase equipment and so on, so how long would it take for you to reimburse the chairman? Was it promptly or?
No, not promptly. Not promptly. The parts had to be landed in Barbados, sent to or taken to our parts department, and the parts would then be checked off by the supervisor of our parts department. He in turn would enter them into the system, and after that process has been completed and he was satisfied that the parts that were ordered are the parts that came, and it totaled X amount. But then, after a while, the chairman would then bring in his receipts. I must say he was a little, somewhat, should I say, lazy in bringing in. It took him a long time to bring in the receipts. He brought in the receipts. They came to me. I, in turn, would have reconciled he usually brought the receipts in with his own his own listing. I would take the actual receipts and invoices, check it back against his listing, satisfy myself that what he said was there is what happened, and pass it on to as soon as I was satisfied, pass it on to the financial controller with a memo indicating the amount, also indicating that, also attaching all the invoices and the receipts, as I said before, and indicating her that she can check, review, and process the payment as long as she was satisfied. I didn't say this in the memo, but as long as she was satisfied that everything was in order. She also got copies of the respective invoices and receipts, and I also sent a copy of that same pile to the accountant. So there would always be two persons in the said department that would know exactly what was going on.
So tell me something, whose idea it was to use the chairman's credit card to assist the transport board?
Would have to be chairman, it's his credit card.
Right, but I mean, how did it start and how did it commence?
The chairman felt, being the type of individual that he is, he felt that he needed to get all the parts, as the required parts by the fleet manager, by Mr. Bartholomew. He thought within himself that he should have these parts in as soon as possible in an effort to get the buses on the road.
So the parts that the chairman purchased were strategic in nature in the sense that the transport board needed millions of dollars in parts. Obviously, he's not providing millions of dollars. So how was it determined what parts or what equipment will be purchased?
Mr. Bartholomew told him exactly what he needed to purchase.
It was a discussion
Fleet management consultant, yeah.
Anything. So in terms of the parts, in terms of the costs were known.
There's parts and tools.
Right, parts and
tools. And the $982,000 didn't go to just buy parts and tools. We also paid creditors.
Right. But in terms of these parts, for instance, were the costs known prior to the chairman, say, traveling overseas?
Not as far as I know. He would have had to go online, check the respective cost of any particular part, and then when he got to wherever he was purchasing from, then he would get the actual price.
So did he have a limit? In other words, was there a limit in terms of how much the chairman could spend at any one point in time?
He was using his credit card.
So his credit card was the limit?
I would assume so, but you have to ask him that question.
Right, okay. All right, no problem. Yes, Chair, thanks.
Anybody else? Yes, Dr. Brown.
Good afternoon, Ms. Ford. I'm looking at one of the invoices dated the 13th of July 2016 for the sum of $36,431.72, which would have been sent in by Mr. Wiltshire. I know there were parts that were apparently urgently needed by the transport board, but I am seeing from Amazon, two Amazon orders really, one being a Moen counter-set utility faucet for the sum of $280.33, and the other being a Musty laundry utility tub.
Can you tell me what's the date of that memo that you're referring to?
The date I'm seeing on the invoice is the 13th of July, 2016. And you signed it as well on that date.
Can I have a look at it, please?
Sure.
Right, that was part of this. I didn't get your name. What is it again?
Sonia Brown.
Oh, I don't understand which one you're.
Go to the bottom of that page, near to the bottom,
Amazon?
a faucet
Oh,
and along
okay.
on the top.
Like pipe in the yard.
That's TMI. No, I see she has, it's right here. I need to find it. Just Ms. Brown,
Yes, ma'am.
the entry to which, is this all you got? Is this all
Mean
that's in
totally
evidence?
everything?
Is this all that's in evidence? Is this it? This is what you got?
Period?
Yes.
All together, all the
Yes.
invoices? No?
You got all the other invoices? Because
I
I
don't know
can
what the
help you, I
other
have it right, everything is right here.
That
And
would
this
be
was included
wonderful.
in the memo that was in the,
Could we get copies, please?
this was included in the board paper that was sent to the board for their approval. And this is the first set of funds that he would have spent.
Okay.
So everything is in this and is properly, the sink that you're referring to was a sink to use in the test bench
A
room.
faucet,
It's a sink though. The sink and using the test bench room for washing all the pieces of the equipment from the test bench. I am not a mechanical person, but that is what it is.
Okay.
And it was set up in a special room. In fact, it should still be there in the transport board.
All right.
And as I say, you can have copies of all this. Everything is here, not just these 2 or 3 pieces of
Okay.
invoices.
So we were so cash-strapped that he needed to buy a faucet or a sink?
I think you're missing the point. You
don't
needed the
think I
sink
am?
in the test bench room, and it's a special room.
You're
with
right,
an
but we were
injector.
saying he had to use his credit card because the funds were not available immediately, yeah? I have that wrong.
Right, but it wasn't bought as a single item. He bought it with other stuff.
Okay. There's something else here. And I am seeing an invoice. I can't quite tell if Mr. Wilshire's name is on it though.
Which one?
From PriceSmart here. That only has, well, ink and Xerox copy paper. Something else I can't see. That was also necessary. It was
Is it
under
connected
Mr.
to the
Wilshire.
same?
I don't, if you
Is
tell
it
me,
connected to the same thing?
you might be able to tell
Yeah.
me better. For Mangrove, was it necessary? I think it's a printer for Mangrove. I just wanted to see the necessity for the chairman to have to purchase, to go into PriceSmart to purchase these things.
Connected to another memo. This printer to which you're referring was sent to the Mangrove, where the special project was held, and that was for the fleet management consultant and his team to use, because they had to enter all the data into the system and then print various reports for the board.
I understand the purpose of ink and printer, thanks though. But
No,
I'm
I
just
wasn't
trying to
explaining
figure
the
out.
purpose of the printer, the ink and printer. I was explaining to you where they went and why it had to
Fine.
go there.
All I'm trying to say, we are trying to say that we were so-called cash-strapped and line of credits were not open to us, so the chairman had to go purchase these things. I'm trying to figure out why this was necessary for the chairman himself to put this on a credit card.
But that was his
And
choice.
I don't know, but it's just unusual. This is what I'm trying to
Well,
understand.
that was
It's his choice, but
That was his choice, and if you find it unusual, well,
I think everybody in this room
do
does.
agree.
Okay. I just find it strange, so I just wanted to know how come he had to be the one to do it. I know sometimes small items in terms of cost, the office would deal with it and pay for it then.
Oh, it was we were setting up the special project in March in order to get the buses out, particularly for April and September schooling. And as you quite rightly said, you know that that's something that the office would purchase, but eventually it went back to the office because he was reimbursed. To the office expense because he was reimbursed.
Okay, thank you for now.
You're welcome.
Are you through, Minister Husband?
There are quite a few things, Chair, I would like to speak to, but not today.
Yeah, well,
But I just want to
we have another
clarify.
10 minutes or so.
I won't need the 10 minutes. I just want to clarify something that the Auditor General had raised. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
When the Auditor General was questioning the issue of the credit card and the reimbursement, he had asked what period of time, how long did it take between the chairman spending his money and getting reimbursement? And you had identified that you go through a process of verification first, but then it depended on when the chairman actually presented his invoice, and you said that he tended to lag in making that presentation. So could you give us an estimate of how long it took when he spent his money and how long it took before he could receive reimbursement?
Okay, if you take a look at the, let's pull any invoice. Say the invoice from Amazon that is dated the 16th of May 2016, and he was reimbursed July the 13th, 2016. So you can use that as a benchmark.
July the
13th, 2016.
And just to be clear, when you were speaking with the Auditor General, he was asking on what basis did you determine what items were to be bought, and you said it had to do with the special project. And then he was asking if there was a process by which you determined and agreed what item would be purchased and for how much. In other words, normally if you bought stuff, you would research, get some prices, and then a group would make a determination. But I just want to be clear that you're saying that that was not done, that the chairman went himself, went online, identified whatever the item was, and then did the purchase.
He did it, he would have done the parts that related directly to the actual bus repairs. He would have done that costing or in conjunction with the fleet management consultant. Even, let's say he went online and he purchased whatever he purchased online, I can tell you the cost of it will be triple or double in Barbados. So it was a savings.
No, I think the question we wanted to identify is the process outlined by the board regulations, if that was followed, even when the chairman was using his own money. In other words, my understanding is that he went online and looked for the part. There was no process by which a team who would normally approve a purchase did the search, identified what they wanted, and then said to the chairman, this one at this price, and it got approved.
He would have
by the board.
also worked in conjunction with the parts supervisor who's familiar with bus parts.
So the fleet consultant and who else?
The parts supervisor.
Okay, I just wanted to get clarification on that, to be sure I understood what you
Okay.
said to Mr. Trotman. Thank you.
Are you finished? Chair, can I refer to Mr.
Surely.
Trotman? I should also let you know that in December 2016, a credit card was approved, a corporate credit card was approved for the Transport Board of $10,000, and that $10,000 was carved out of the existing operating facility. So it wasn't an additional credit coming from government to the Transport Board. And that there were 4 persons who were entitled to use the credit card, and they each had a limit of $2,500 Barbados dollars. But that would have been after, long after the project has started, and the fact that we needed to get tools urgently for the project.
All right, I thank you, Ms. Ford and Mr. Pierce. We come to 5:15. As we indicated, we would not go beyond that this afternoon.
I can continue if you want me to, and I don't have
Yeah, but our normal quitting hour is
Okay.
5 o'clock on the other commitments. But we welcome you coming back. You're not traveling anywhere soon, are you?
I'm right here in Barbados.
All right.
Very much so.
Understand we're unable to meet next Monday or the Monday following, so we'll have to reset that new day, and we will let you know. But we appreciate you coming today and sharing with the committee.
You're
And
most welcome, sir.
unless there's something else most pressing to this committee, we will consider that we are adjourned until that moment. Thank you.
Thank you, too.